Well, hello there. So, I'm out at Natureland Park. It's in between Whitewater and Delavan, I believe. I haven't been here since, summertime. I was out here with my little guy and someone I knew once. Um, it's a beautiful day here in Wisconsin. It's spring equinox. So, I thought, well, you know, I have the day off. I had some appointments and some errands to run this morning, so here I am. I needed sunshine and fresh air and maybe just get away from the city for a minute. You know, it's about half hour from home, so not too blasted far. I was pretty happy that, it wasn't very peoply here. I'm the only one. I'm going to zoom in. The water is beautiful. Anyway, I thought we'd go for a little bit of walk. I don't think dogs are allowed here, I don't believe. Not that I want to take my big old girl for a walk here anyway. This is kind of a cool thing. This is a natural spring. And it doesn't look too muddy today. I thought I might have to put my mud boots on. I have them in my car. Gotta be prepared for everything, I guess. The sound of the water is certainly different than the sirens that fly past my house on a regular basis. You ever think about if a tree could talk? Those stories it could tell. This one's been here forever. It says, and we're celebrating spring and the equinox, that trees, they have their stories. Quite interesting. And then you can talk to them and tell them your fears, and because they're solid and, they've been around forever, but maybe they can absorb some of that and carry it into the earth for you. I think this is really cool. I don't know necessarily what was here, but if you look, you can see the bricks actually inside of the tree. I'm not tall enough to reach that, but, that's all right too. So life has been interesting lately, I will say. Things have changed a lot for me. My daughter moved out. She moved back to Milwaukee a couple of months ago. And that was kind of a hellish adventure for me. They say that, things happen in threes, and I certainly have experienced that within the last couple of months. Some hardships, I guess. But in that, there's been a lot of growth. I'm kind of realizing that I spent so much time trying to conform and fit into other people's ideals that, I lost track of me. I lost myself in there somewhere, in between kids and partner and, So I've been doing a lot of self-care. And it's been a journey. It's been growth. And maybe someday I'll figure it out, but, So it was definitely a drive out here. Kind of realized maybe the city life ain't for me, or the country life, I should say, isn't for me. I'm sorry, I don't know how to edit anything on here, so it's just kind of, you hear what you hear, you get what you get. Ain't that the story of life? You get what you get. And you don't throw a fit. You know. Yeah, so in my drive out here, I got behind a tractor. Which is no big deal because, no hurries, no worries, right? It's a beautiful day. I'm just going to relax and enjoy it. And show you some cool stuff along the way. Look at that, Mother Nature in her finest. Can't believe it was a blizzard on Monday. And here we are on a Friday, and it's 60 some odd degrees outside. Definitely had to go take advantage of this. Now, I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming that the big winds that we had kind of took that out. This is a really cool place. I'm glad that it was introduced to me. I see something in the water. Oh, I think it's just a log. For some reason I thought, is that a turtle? Not a turtle. It's a log. I think. It does look like a turtle. I have a special affinity for turtles. Rough on the outside, soft on the inside. The hard exterior and protects the inners. Unfortunately, in my life, I haven't had much of a hard exterior, and that's led a lot of grief to me, but I'm learning, I'm growing, and that's all we can do in life is, personal growth. We talk about having worth and value and those type of things, and what I've learned, or that I am learning and I'm in process of learning, is you really have to, you got to look inside yourself and find that. I guess the thing too that, kind of, I've had a pretty low self-esteem most of my life. But being alone and living alone for the last couple of months it's been an eye-opener. I still have my little boy, but, he goes to grandma's and whatever, so he's not home today. And I've spent a lot of time by myself and exploring me, trying to get back to that, what I love and who I am. And I haven't quite found clarity in that yet. So if you're struggling with things like that, know that you're not alone. You can hear the birds. I don't know if you can. I heard birds this morning outside my bathroom window and realized it was spring equinox. And had that moment of clarity where, winter comes and it's harsh and it's brutal and everything's frozen and everything looks dead, and it's just not a pleasant season, at least not for me. But then we have spring, and it's new growth, and the world starts balancing itself out again. I hear an airplane. I'll tell you what, though, man, if I didn't have that dog at home, I probably wouldn't be walking in Natureland right now. I probably already would have parked my car in the mountains somewhere and, enjoyed that solitude. But this is good. This is good. We all take different paths in life. I always had to take the one that was turbulent. But, like I said, you learn and you become and you get stronger and you got to give yourself grace and you have to give other people grace, And sometimes we don't do that. We either give ourselves grace and we don't give other people grace. But we got to do both. We got to find that balance of, this is where I am. This is where I'm going to meet you. Oh, I don't know. I'm just an old lady rambling, I guess. So, I'm going to be quiet for a few minutes and we'll just enjoy the walk. The old burrow in that tree. That's cool. I actually don't remember how long it took to walk this. So if I don't finish my little trot through here on camera, well, that's because it took me too long. Or I run out of stuff to say, which God knows, I'm a blabbermouth. I really needed the sunshine today. Maybe a bit of solitude that wasn't, city life. Oh, I think I forgot to finish my story. I was on my way here and I got behind a tractor. No big deal. I was going out County A and my window down. It's a nice day. And, on one of the fields so I was going slow because I was behind this tractor. In one of the fields, they were spraying fertilizer. I was gagging and my eyes were watering and putting the windows up in my car, and I'm laughing at myself, and I'm like, yeah, the country and the woods. I like the woods. But a nice place to visit, but I don't think that's in me. I don't think I could smell cow poop on a regular basis and be alright with that. Oh, it was awful. Literally gagging, and I'm laughing at myself because what else do you do? That's been a bit of a journey too, is finding the things that make me happy and make me laugh. So, funny story today. I had my little in the car. We had an appointment. And we go to the appointment and we get done, and I'm like, hey, you want to go to Bricks and Minifigs? And he's like, oh yeah. So I set the budget and whatever, and we're driving there, and I went to look left to check for oncoming traffic, and my neck cracked, and I kind of said, oh, because it hurt. And this child says to me, he says, Mama, are you okay? I'm like, yes. Well, Boogie. And he's like, oh, well, what happened? And I explained it to him, and he's like, oh, that's all right, Mama. And I said, yeah. He's like, you'll be okay. And I said, yeah, I'll be fine, Cooper. And then this child says to me, he says, well, it's all right, Mama. That happens to old people. And I was like, oh, well, thinking to myself, boy, you really don't want to go shopping, do you? It was funny. I mean, he's not wrong, but that was kind of rude. Out of the mouth of babes. This kind of reminds me of Tennessee. Before I adopted him, I had a 5-year plan, and I actually had, oops, I almost tripped. Gotta watch where I'm going. I had a 5-year plan, and I was putting away money, and my plan was that I was going to go find me a tiny little house on the side of a mountain. But life's really good at throwing you curveballs. And there's no complaint from me. I think Cooper's done more for me than I've ever done for him. Now, I don't know if you can see. I'm sure you can. There's a trip hazard. There's a big trip hazard. Looks like this was burnt. Let me zoom back out. It was. Oh. Yes, it's very charcoaly. Not sure what happened there. There's not a burn pile due to the recent windstorms. There's quite a bit of debris laying around. The path looks pretty clear. So, not a whole lot exciting going on. I did buy a 3D printer. Unbox was opened up. Printer's out. And someone had bought a 3D printer and returned their old one, broken one, not even the same model, in the box back to Amazon. So, received a used printer. And, that wasn't a cheap thing. So today I went to UPS and I returned that. And I'm going to try again. But it sure looks a whole lot different than the last time I was here. Actually, I don't think I've ever been here in early spring. I've only been here a couple of times. I was a little concerned on my way here that it might be too people-y. Because when you're looking for solitude, well, people-y isn't what you need. So I went and was running errands and realized that I forgot my watch this morning. So I had to stop home. And one of the things I do is I take medication every day. It's a thing. Whatever. It keeps me healthy. But, I forgot my watch. And what I do every morning is that I don't put my watch on until I've taken my medication. That way I don't forget. So I didn't get to track any of my steps, but I did eventually take my medication a little bit later than I normally do. I got to sleep in today, or I tried to sleep in today. But that dog of mine decided that 4 a.m. was a great time to get up. That's our normal schedule. So I got out of bed and I hadn't had much sleep. And this is a bit steep. Didn't get much sleep, so I went back to bed about 6:30, 7 o'clock. And I had to be up by 8:30. So I got up, kind of. I laid in bed for a half hour. I just wanted to sleep. Sorry, being very careful and cautious. The roots of the trees. And sometimes in life, that's all you can do is be like a tree and stand strong and bury those roots. The moss growing. Don't they grow on the north side of the tree? I think I read somewhere, or I might have to Google that. Usually in life I'm a pretty fast walker, but well, I'm out here alone, and if I fall and break a hip, I'm kind of SOL. There's another path leading down there, it looks like, but I think I'm better off staying on the main path. Here's the map. Red-winged blackbirds. There's all kinds of critters here. I can't identify birds, but I love to listen to them sing. Beautiful stand of trees. Yeah, this is getting a bit long, so I might have to cut the video short, but I'll continue my walk. Y'all have a great equinox. Today is Friday, and I plan to go. I don't know what I'm doing this weekend. I think might go out dancing. I might stay home and pretend I'm an old lady. I'm hearing something and I don't know what it is. Not human, but... Anyway, I'm done rambling. Y'all have fun. Bye-bye now.